probably the pinch me moment, to be honest. But it's more the teachers that are thankful for you when you go into the schools, because you're tiring them out and making it a wee bit easier for them. So last year we done, I think it was 16 sessions in 14 days. I had to kind of take a stop and go, I'm pushing these people basically to their limits, kind of. So when you can have a really bad week. I'm not going to tell you how many times I've put into the chat saying we're chucking this next week.
Hi guys, welcome back to Taylor Talks Trades. In this week's episode we are with Jay and Ally from Kick Mental Health, a local West Lothian based mental health organisation. They're doing a lot of good work with the football that they're doing, but also construction as well. So hope you enjoy this one. Welcome on guys, how are you?
Not bad, yeah.
Not bad mate, not bad at all.
I'm good, I'm all good. Where did it all start for Kick Mental Health then? So we go back to the start.
Yeah, so back to the starts. Probably October 2019 we started it. It wasn't really, we didn't make it to be an organisation, it was more an idea. So the whole thing came about as we had a group of people that used to play football on a Wednesday night, and then we didn't have enough numbers, so one of the days we just put it out saying if anybody wants to come up, we've got a couple of spaces, come up for free. And I think 4 or 5 people turned up. So the next week when we were playing, we realised maybe there's an appetite for this. So we booked the park, put it up on Facebook and just said, look, anybody who's struggling can come along and just play football for nothing. And it went from there really. So
yeah. So so at that point there wasn't like the sort of mental health aspect behind it, or?
No, I wouldn't really say there was the mental health side. It was more a social aspect. But then again, social and mental health, getting people out the house combines into one.
It's just hand in hand, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then when did it sort of become an actual organisation as such? Then what was the?
I think we didn't make the name probably until about a month down the line. Once we realised that the appetite was there, people were coming to us saying, look, this is something that I could really use, then we were like, we better get a name done quite quickly, because I had a wee look when we were running it and we were the only one kind of doing it up in Scotland anyway. So we just quickly got a name, put a wee logo on, and we just went for there.
Away with the head down. And so what was so as far as I'm aware, you've got like the football sessions, but then you've also got like the Zoom as well. So
so it was purely just football until COVID really, and then that's when everything went virtual and we had to look at Zoom calls and stuff. So
yeah,
I think during that COVID period, remember everybody was sitting in the house on house party and Zoom anyway. So I think
it made sense
to try and get people together.
It was difficult because we've went maybe 4 or 5 months being purely a physical activity group, and then everything stopped. So you're kind of looking to say you'll either stop the group until the end of COVID, or you look at another alternative, and that was the virtual side of it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So so when the lockdown must have kicked his own quite a good bit then. Because
I was about to say that. I think
that was probably making it, because everybody probably needed it more at that point.
I would say at the back of COVID, once restrictions started dwindling down, it pushed on because people were wanting to come more.
It was a weird situation as well, because obviously you're in full-time work, but then you're put in furlough. So it actually gave us a chance to basically do Kick Mental Health full-time for as long as COVID went on for, which was weird. Maybe it didn't benefit other people, but it definitely benefited us, because we seen the numbers double, triple once we came back. So
yeah. So what's the sort of layout of it then? Like, what does a typical week at sort of Kick Mental Health look like then?
Mayhem. So it never started like this, but it's the numbers have got.
Yeah, it's
made it quite manic, but enjoyable all the same.
It's a busy schedule. So in the 5 days we've got sessions from Monday to Friday, and in the 5 days we've got 6 sessions. So we've got two on a Monday, and then 1 on a Tuesday, 1 on a Wednesday, a virtual one on a Thursday, and then back with a football one on a Friday. Mm-hmm. And most of them are West Lothian based, apart from one. So
no, that's good. And what's the difference between somebody coming along to your session as opposed to just going and joining like I'm not saying a normal football team, but you know what I mean, like
It's,
Like,
The competitiveness is kind of no there.
Aye.
It's purely
it's a bit
fun.
more open for everyone.
It's
And
any ability, any fitness,
yeah,
come along, and you, even if you've never played football before, you're
Aye.
welcome.
that's
Whereas
good.
if you have never played, or you've only played 20 years ago, and you go and rock up to a normal team,
Aye.
it's going to dishearten you.
Yeah,
You come here, you'll be welcomed, and you'll play football with a smile rather than pressure.
that's good. That's good.
You've got the full support network as well. So once you come along, not everybody's got to come along that's struggling. We know that people are just got to come. I fancy getting out of the house tonight, but they know further down the line, whether it's a month or a year, that there is a support network there, and we do make it clear to everybody. And you usually find that once their confidence is up a wee bit and they trust us a bit more, then some people will go, can I get help with this? Can I get help with that? I think that's probably one of the reasons why as well.
I think if you look at it, with the group of people we've got now, a lot of people maybe came themselves, and now they've got maybe a friendship group of 5 people that they've met here.
Mm-hmm.
Now there might become a time where Kick Mental Health isn't here anymore, but they maybe friendship groups might still be.
Them relationships will
Might still
always,
be there, eh?
will always stay together. That's really good.
You'll find that it's only right if people are coming on their own. So you do realise quite quickly that they might know of people, but they've never spoke to them before. Whereas if you've got 40 people from Livingston here, there's going to be connections, which is really helpful for people.
Yep. And so what's the how does the is it still a Zoom group that you've still got that going?
So it's Microsoft Teams.
My Teams.
It gives us we reach so many different people. That's the kind of thing. That's why it's so good. We realise that not everybody likes football. It's a kind of niche, but if people want that talking space, then that's always there. And with it being virtual, anybody can join it, really. Yeah. We've had people from all over Scotland, people down south. It lets us reach a different demographic of people.
Mm-hmm. And what about for you guys personally? Like, what has it done for you? Like, did you have your own kind of struggles with mental health and this has helped, or did you sort of just see that you wanted to help others, or what was the kind of...
When we started, I was playing Sunday amateur football before this, and in the league that I was in, we realised that there was a massive problem, especially in North Lanarkshire, and that's where most of the teams were. So it was kind of one of the things where we were sitting going, what can we do? And once we did ask a few people, do you want to come along, and realised, I was like, is this something that can make a difference? And going by it now, it might be basic, but it does make a massive difference.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, when I first got involved, I wasn't really struggling with anything, or I can't really say I never really have, but I came along purely for the physical side to start playing football again, because I hadn't for a while and I'd put a lot of weight on, so I tried to cut that back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe when I look back now that I'm here all the time and I'm more active, I'm probably proactively looking after my mental health by doing that.
Yeah.
Without struggling in the sense.
Aye. So it's almost like it's trying to be that, you hit the nail on the head there. The proactive approach is, if you're exercising, you might then just make your diet a wee bit better. You might be connecting socially with people, so ultimately you might avoid the pitfall that could be in like 3 months' time. No eating well, no playing football, no socialising, sticking yourself away in the house and kind of no going out there, and then that's usually where these kind of pitfalls happen for people. So
we're so used to being reactive to stuff like this. Mm-hmm. That's the big thing. So as much as we know the majority of people that come along won't be struggling at that time, it's better them coming along now than a year down the line when they're really struggling.
Yep.
And maybe they miss out or help, or they don't see it, and then...
I think everybody knows somebody in this area that struggled, or it's came to the worst case scenario, and every time it happens, you say, oh, we should really be trying to do something to help.
Yep.
We might not be able to help everybody because it's no the market that they need. Football's no for everybody, but if we can bridge a gap and help some, then it's helping slightly. Definitely.
I seen something that was like I can't even remember what it was, but it was like it was an analogy, like we need to stop pulling people out the river and start like seeing why they're like falling in, kind of thing. That's
just in general. You find that even with the businesses, companies, football clubs that we work with, they only usually come to us after the worst case scenario has happened, whereas we're trying to push people to come along before. anything happens. And does it work? You'll never know if it truly works, but going by numbers and stuff, you have to think that we're doing the right thing in the long run.
So do you end up, is there like a journey that the person kind of goes on then as such?
I would say so. So
I would say so without maybe them telling you, or they might know, they might not know that they've went on that journey, but I would definitely say when you see it, it's the outside in. It's
quite difficult because the first week is the most important week. So if you can get them along, try and get a wee connection with them. If they come back the second week, then that's probably the journey really started, because you will get people that come for a week and go, this isn't for me, but you're trying to make sure that they've either got somewhere else to go to or they come and try it again. But it usually takes about a month and a half for them to gain a wee bit of trust, get some confidence. But the majority of people that come along, they're different people within the 2 months. We're probably a wee bit different, I would say. Our group as a whole is quite loud. There's a lot of laughter and stuff, whereas sometimes people see mental health groups as quite a somber thing.
Yeah.
I would like to see we bring people's
we've got
personalities.
A lot of characters.
Aye. Well, Jay's partners will be all right, yeah.
Surprised they're not sleeping.
But that's what you want. You don't want people to be enclosed. You want people to come along and be their own person.
So if somebody was sort of struggling, right, and they were going to come along, are they just coming along and they'll basically they're going to come to one of the sessions and they're going to play football? It's not going to be like, how's your mental health, mate? It's very much come play football. If this naturally comes to a point that you want some help, then we're here. But it's not like going to a therapist as such.
We try and let people get on with it. We're quite lucky as well. We've got maybe 5 or 6 people that help at most sessions. So as much as we're not coming up to you saying, are you struggling with this? We can go back to each other and say, this new person, how did they get on? Fine. And you don't want to overdo it in the first week, because that can put people off as well. So if you let people come out, kick a ball and enjoy it, there's more chance they're going to come back.
I think also because of the numbers, the way we are now, we're having to you've obviously got a 5-minute break between games. Obviously we're set up 3 different teams. So there is a 5-minute break at the side that if people felt like there was a scope for having a chat, there is a 5-minute period where they might open up a bit.
Aye. No, it's quite interesting that
5-minute break, it's not going to be a 5-minute session where people are going to say, look, I'm really struggling with this, and most of see people just having a laugh for that 5 minutes before they go back on. That's probably the bigger therapy than actually speaking.
It's the community, isn't it? Because if you look at all the things that like could affect your mental health, it probably has been like isolated.
Social
so like straight away you're out the house and like no exercising or no seeing sunlight or just not even getting out into nature a wee bit or whatever. All of these things are like,
I think social isolation is probably worse than it's ever been. I think people are more inclined to stay in or stay away from
since COVID and that as well. It's just became a bit more normal, eh?
Everybody you speak to, if you say what's missing nowadays, it's community. And that's as much as we're pushing a brand, you're pushing it as a community to try and get people along.
And then people like all feel part of something in that sense. Like people need their wee tribe, eh?
You'd like to think so.
I think so.
And do people like end up with the merch and stuff like that, and they can wear so they're like kind of party, like a team almost?
Yeah, so we've got loads of different merch. We don't push it on people. If you don't want to wear it, you don't need to wear it.
Yeah.
But you find that maybe after a month or 2 months, people will go and get a bit, and it does. It makes a difference if you go to one of the sessions and there's maybe 25 out of 40 people wearing the same stuff. It looks good.
I know it does.
And it makes us look professional as well. And it's not just because people can just see it as a kickabout. That's as simple as that. But we want to kind of people looking in see it as a lot more than that.
No, it makes a lot of sense. I think that whole community piece is massive. Like I think just the routine as well. Possibly, it's like you're thinking of the key metrics that would make your mental health probably no slide, and it's like
I think when we first started it was just Monday and Friday session, and I think that was ideal at the time, because I think if you've had a bad week or a bad week, Friday's coming, football, I'll forget about it for that hour, or with the way people are obviously want to go out. A lot of people go out drinking or doing stuff that's no good for them on a Friday, Saturday for their mental well-being. If you can play the football on a Friday, at least that's cutting that down maybe for one day.
Aye.
And then if you have had a bad weekend, Monday was coming,
Aye.
and you get your football and you get that release, eh?
Aye.
Routine's so important, but that's one of the things that we speak about a lot. We could double our sessions next week if we wanted to, but you need to make sure every session goes ahead every single week.
Yep.
And that's something we've always said. If we've got 7 sessions on, 7 sessions will go ahead, unless it snows, which right now we're having a big problem with.
So you make sure the consistency's there, like, it makes sense.
Especially for people that come along, you don't know everybody's background, so people need routine.
Mm-hmm.
And I think after a month, 3 months, people don't even realise that they're coming. Sometimes it's just
showing up.
It's just ingrained that, it's Monday, I've got football on Monday, it's Tuesday, I've got this. And I think that's really important to people.
Mm-hmm.
It makes a lot of sense. It's the routine side of it's massive, because most people that maybe going to struggle, or like I'm saying struggle, like you didn't need to be struggling, you know. It just sometimes
we want to kind of be that group where people say, I need somewhere to go, whether it's I need a game of football tonight, I need a place to speak, or I just need out the house. That's what we want to be. Sometimes mental health groups and stuff can kind of have a wee niche or only appease an appetite for different people, whereas we want to kind of be there where anybody can go, right, I fancy that tonight, so I'm going to go.
No, that's good. And what's the sort of like the tie-in with, like you said, there's quite a lot of like construction people come. Do you think why is that? Is it just because like a lot of people in construction like football, or is there like some kind of tie-in? Is it the people that's there seem to just tend to be in construction, so they're letting other people know, or is it?
It possibly could be that, obviously, if guys are working on building sites and they come along, it's easy to say, what were you doing last night? I was playing football, I'll wear a boot, and then actually maybe got another 4 coming along.
Yep.
That's possibly a link.
But again, it could be down to a couple of different things, but I think our times make a massive difference. So everything we do is at night.
Yep.
A lot of services and stuff are during the day, which people in construction, the majority can't go to, where our sessions are quite late as well. Some of them are 8, 8:30, 9 o'clock, which is perfect for people that are coming off building sites, that doing different. Even if they're working late, you've still got an hour or so to get something to eat, and then you can come along.
How long is the sessions?
It's just an hour, so it's an hour of football. Obviously, you're probably talking maybe an hour and a half where people stay behind, have a wee talk or have a laugh. And
that's quite good.
That's one thing we've always tried to push as well. You don't want people to just turn up 5 minutes before and then just leave. You do want people to maybe hang about for 10, 15 minutes.
There's people on a Friday that are there. I usually go straight for work on a Friday and I wait an hour. But sometimes there's guys there at 5:30 where it's starting at 6, so they're half an hour early, and there's maybe 5 or 6 of them.
It's the same. We've got a session in Curluckley now, and it's 8:30 to 9:30, but most of the guys stay behind. It's a nightmare for me because I'm travelling all the way from Livingston. So like going, say last night, for instance, I didn't leave Curluck until closer to 10:30. Which is an absolute nightmare for me, but it's good because
it's good on the same. It's a catch-22 a wee bit.
People are standing out speaking for an hour. It might not be anything too deep, but it's still good to kind of have that wee community kind of.
Nah, definitely, and I think a lot of people wouldn't know like just how much that's actually doing for their well-being. That wee chat, and
they probably don't think about it twice. Because it's just happening all naturally. They're turning up to the football. Oh, that's Davey there. I'll speak to him, and they're not even noticing what they're doing.
That's pretty good.
It goes back to the routine as well. I don't think people realise how much they're getting out of the sessions.
Yep.
And that's good for us as well because they don't realise it because it's on every week. Whereas I think if we were off for 2 or 3 weeks, people would start to realise, and that's when you come into Christmas time. That's when you realise that people do really need it.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
I wouldn't know for sure, but I don't think we've had that long a period without football, like weather-based, have we?
Nah, we closed down for 2 weeks just to let people enjoy Christmas and New Year. But apart from that, we're right through.
Aye, unless it's snowing and you're kind of wiped out. But
I mean, we made it work there. We managed to get one session going there on
Aye.
a Tuesday.
Get the shovels out and that.
No, but because there was a demand there, we managed to get a session on a Tuesday in Edinburgh for a couple of weeks there, just to keep guys ticking. Yeah,
Right.
It's one of the if people want it, we'll try our hardest to give them it. That's it.
Aye.
And if it means people like booking a park 45 minutes away, as long as people are going to come along.
Mm-hmm.
And the good thing is that Edinburgh one, we ended up reaching different people because it was a new area for us.
Yep.
So now that's kind of making us look as if we could move.
You could do it
into
all
that area,
nationally,
yeah.
basically. Aye, it's good. What's do you keep a track of your sort of numbers and stuff like that? Like how many people is involved in it? And
I keep a rough. We do a kind of rough track weekly, and right now we're averaging between 120 and 130 people a week.
big numbers, eh?
And that's not going into like our WhatsApp groups and stuff, which have maybe got more people. But some people just use the WhatsApp groups for a wee chat but won't come along to the session.
Yeah.
So numbers are probably a lot higher, but if you're talking about how many comes to sessions, then about 120, 130.
That's a lot of people. Aye. So
It's-
how can people sort of help you guys then as an organisation? Because obviously, like what I'm hearing there is like if you couldn't be, that's like 120 people that's just like not going to be able to go to it, and they're going to lose their routine and stuff. So like, what can people in the communities do to try and support you?
Well, I think what we always joke about is we need a rain stadium built, but I don't think that's going to happen.
That's a bit.
That'd
That's
be
a
good
bit
though,
high
eh?
in the
We're on
sky.
3G pitch, but I doubt
Aye.
anybody's going to go that far.
Could you team in with somebody, like partner up with somebody in that respect? Or
It's difficult because what we need AstroTurf, and you find that most clubs with AstroTurfs are community-based clubs, so they've got their AstroTurfs getting used every night of the week.
constantly, yep.
And that's why we're looking at like wee private places,
Mm-hmm.
maybe private gyms and stuff that have got a couple of pitches.
Yep.
And that seems to be the way forward.
Yeah. No. So that would be the kind of end goal, is the Kick Mental Health Arena or something like that.
Well, maybe just get the naming rights to a stadium or something. That might be a lot
Aye.
easier.
Might be easier, aye. No, that's aye, and anything else in terms of like, that's probably like a huge bit of support. But what's the small things people can do? Like, what's
I think
just share your stuff and let people know about it.
the smallest things is talking to people about it. We can put it on social media 7 times a day and people will see it, but there's nothing more important than somebody's pal going to them, by the way, I go to this.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'd enjoy it. That's probably the most powerful bit about
Aye.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Because how many times we had somebody come in and they're like, oh, by the way, my pals want to come, is that okay? Perfect.
Aye.
Tell them.
It's pretty normal for if somebody's coming for the first week, they'll say, can I bring somebody with me? And that's what you want, because you want them to have a connection
Aye, somebody
at the sessions. And then you find that we friend groups and stuff can join together.
come off the back of it. And do you do anything like in terms of like different events that would maybe be like, I don't know, like once a year or once a quarter or something like that?
That's probably something we need to look at doing
Mhm.
more. I think it's because we're so busy during the week
Mhm.
that I need to make sure that people that are helping me have time with their families.
And they're
as
going to
well.
be recharged to do it all again.
That's the main reason behind the Christmas shutdown as well, because people are at the house 5 nights a week
Yeah,
on top of full-time jobs. It's
it's a lot, eh?
it's volunteer led. So I think I worked it out that, especially now, I'm 12 hours on top of a full-time job at night, trying to
Yeah,
make sure that everybody can have time to themselves as well.
aye, that's quite a big commitment.
I think because all the sessions are it's almost every night, well, it is, that you forget about other things that we could be doing because you're that
Aye.
focused on making sure these sessions go ahead every week.
Aye, that makes sense.
Because the way I look at it is, people will think they volunteers are there for an hour, but they're not, because
Nah, there's all the prep before that.
there's the travelling. Some people are travelling maybe 45 minutes
Yeah.
to every session and then 45 minutes home. So that's a lot of time at the house.
Aye, definitely.
You need people to, you need to look after, I need to look after them as well, kind of thing.
Aye,
So
no, it makes sense, because the last thing you want is to be like running a mental health organisation and then all the people who's running it's burnt out and can't cope with it because it's too much on them.
Because there is times where I can see maybe like a month or so. I think last year we done, I think it was 16 sessions in 14 days.
Right.
Whereas I had to kind of take a stop and go, I'm pushing these people basically to their limits, kind of
Aye.
thing. So
It's quite hard, that. It's quite hard. So in terms of like volunteers and stuff like that, do you actively look for people, or how
Yeah.
does that go?
We do,
We're
but
running quite light there. We obviously brought another 2 people in helping to start.
I like to try and keep it. I like to try and make the volunteers of people that have been there before,
That's what,
because it would be quite difficult for somebody to come in that's maybe
straight out.
out. They don't know anybody's names. Whereas if I can find
Promote
people,
somebody within, kind of
Well,
almost
I
like.
asked that I only came as us just to attend. Like,
Yeah.
I'd probably had zero intentions of helping out, but that's
Here
how
you
it's
are.
panned out, aye.
I think the only person we've brought in out with was for the women's session, and that's because she was brought in by somebody else,
Yeah.
and then she's ended up taking it over, which is but again she was still there a good month before she started helping, so she did still kind of have that.
Aye. No, I think that would make sense. It's like, that's how, like in my mind, like I'm quite strategic thinker, but like I would almost like to see like a pathway. So somebody came in here, maybe not feeling the best or whatever, but started getting fit again, kind of evolved a bit, and then through time maybe they became like a leader of like one of the sessions, and then they were sort of giving back and saying, look, I came in here and this kind of happened. And
I think you need to be in the door to start helping, because you need to know the people that are there.
aye,
It's
Obviously,
all-
some people are coming away, whatever issues they've got, so you need
yeah,
to have the right people deal with them.
definitely.
it's also every group's different. So I would say we're quite laid back at sessions. We try and no like overdo things. We try and let people get on with it.
Yeah.
People that are maybe at other groups won't realise that, and maybe they feel a wee bit awkward or something if they jump in too quick. So
Mm-hmm.
if you've got people there that know what you're about, know what the message is, then
Mm-hmm.
it does make it so much easier.
Nah, it makes sense. It does make sense. I'm kind of thinking it just as almost like a, do you know, once you've got them other sessions on, it almost becomes like a wee franchise of what you guys have got. So it's just giving those values to whoever comes through, like this is how we need it to be, and
Because
you live by that.
my plan is I'll always be at the sessions for the first 2-3 months,
Mhm.
get them starting up,
Yep.
and then hopefully I can find somebody or somebody's interested that I can show, look, this is what you need to do.
Yep.
And it means I can take a step back as well. And if I can take a step back, there's a good chance we can hit another area, which
Yep.
is important. So
Yep. Nah, it's good. And what's the kind of what's happening now then? So you're transitioning a wee bit, and you're going to be working with.
we're probably kind of in a kind of third transition. So we went for the social bit to the virtual bit, and now we're looking at the bigger picture, what we can do towards businesses, what we can do towards football clubs,
Yeah.
how we can make a difference in a bigger scale. That's
Yep.
what we're looking at.
Yep. And what's how are you going to connect with these people? Like, what's your sort of, how are you seeing that
I
going?
think our big plan for the next year or so is wellbeing checks. Whereas if it's in businesses, on building sites, in football academies, it doesn't need to be anything overly detailed. It's getting people talking for 10-15 minutes.
Yep.
We can get a kind of report on how everybody's doing, and we can either take it back to the company or it can stay anonymous,
Yeah.
and then it can make companies realise what they're doing good, what they're doing bad.
Aye. I think if it goes in the route of anonymous, companies can maybe look at it and think, are we doing enough?
Mm-hmm. Aye.
And that's what you just want to try and make a difference. It comes back to the proactive kind
Yep.
of thing. You don't.
So take us as like Taylor Roos as a company then. Like, would you come in and you would just speak to those guys and just say, look, if anybody's feeling a wee bit off or anything at all, like, we've got these groups that you can come along to? Or
I think if we were going to a company, the plan kind of would be to have us there for a couple of hours and just say to anybody, if you want to come in for a 10,
Mhm.
15-minute chat, and we can write it down. The chat can be longer than 10-15 minutes. If you
Mhm.
have to go into more detail, then that's even better because it's done its job. But even if 6 or 7 people come in and chat for 10-15 minutes, I would say it's done its job for
yeah,
both us and them. So
I
yeah,
think if you go into businesses, say you've got a business that's 100 employees, all the averages tells you somebody's
Yeah.
struggling.
yeah,
They've got to be.
definitely.
you can't, it comes back to the whole, you can't push people as well. So
Mhm.
if you were coming into a company or a business, you'd probably need to be there regularly.
Yep.
Just so, because that one person that really needs it probably won't come to you the first time,
Mhm.
probably won't come to you the second time, but it's the third time
Yeah.
or the fourth time.
Nah, makes sense. That does make sense.
The first time you go, probably will prick their ears up a wee bit, and they'll
Yeah.
probably think about it,
Mhm.
and then they maybe they'll follow through it, and then you're there a second time, and eventually they'll just go.
It's a bit like when we've been starting sessions, it's the same kind of thing. So I'm never worried about the launch of something.
Mhm.
People are always going to come to a launch because people are interested. They want to see what it's like. It's its second, third, fourth session.
Keeping them coming.
It's the same when you're going in and speaking to people. It's probably the first time you'll get a great
They'll respond
interest.
to it because it's something new and all that. But
Whereas
then
that fourth session, if you've got one person that comes to you there, they've probably really, really needed that for the
Yep.
last month or so.
what do you think the barrier is then? Like, are you seen there being like a barrier as such, like with people wanting to speak about this stuff?
I think people are speaking, but I don't think people are listening. I think that's what they feel like. It's there's a lot of different things. It could be that a lot of people think mental health groups are counselling sessions. They're not. It's people coming along, speaking to each other and having a laugh more than
Supporting each other.
anything. Yeah, that's
Aye.
the kind of. That's
So
what
you
they're looking
guys
for.
are trying to keep it quite laid back
Yeah.
as possible, rather than going full tilt sort of.
I think if you build the kind of community that we're trying to build, that and it's laid back, but there's these wee circles here. If it got to the stage where somebody in one of these circles really needed somebody to talk to, they would have somebody they could probably turn to and get a wee bit in a deeper level, and hopefully find a bit of solace and a bit of support in that.
Aye.
I've always ran the group kind of off what I would go to. So I couldn't do a sit in a circle. That's not my thing. It's probably not a lot of people's things, but I would go to somewhere where I could just turn up, and not to say that nobody would speak to me, but I could just go on with it and then see how I enjoy it, and then if I needed it, then speak to people. And I think that's like the majority of people. People don't want to go to things and be blasted with different things. They want to.
It's quite a vulnerable thing to do, like to go and kind of
Like everyone on the table.
say you're struggling with your mental health. It's not really, especially for men.
It's
It's quite difficult. So, I think it does make sense just having that sort of almost the community's there. You can go, but you didn't need to speak about it if you didn't want to. You can just be like, oh, I'm just here to get fit
I think
or whatever.
I think for too long, I think there's a lot of things put up on speaking, but in the way we look back at the group and how we look at it is people are speaking. It's just whether they feel like
They're
they're
heard.
getting listened to.
Aye.
That comes down to maybe professional services and stuff, whereas we can try and be that bridge where you're talking to people that have probably felt the exact same way as you, rather than, we kind of call it, we don't go off the script approach.
Yeah.
We try and keep it nice and like different opinions, peer support's what they call
Yeah.
it, and you don't. It's so much more effective.
So you're using like lived experience, basically. Like you could get a wee subgroup there with the group, and if somebody's been struggling with something, then it's almost these other people saying like, I was there at one point, here's what I did to kind of make it better.
I think also obviously the professional services, there can be a waiting time for to go and be heard. But
Yep.
we're here, just come.
Aye. Yep.
It's a lot of different things, but I think it is that people can message us on the Monday and come on the Tuesday, whereas if you're maybe going through hospitals, NHSs, there is
The waiting lists are ridiculous.
just because it's so busy, the waiting list will be crazy, and that's where we kind of see you can still maybe look for that professional support, but we're there in the 6 months
That
leading
you're
up to
waiting.
it.
Aye,
And
that's
you've
interesting.
at least spoke about it,
Yep.
and then when you go to the professional stuff, they can give you probably support that we can't, to be
Yeah.
honest,
Yep.
because nobody's professionals. We're kind of hoping that if we're in say a teams meeting and a new person comes, we're hoping, or we're pretty certain that one of the 10 people or how many is in it will have felt or feel the exact same as what they're doing.
Yep.
And that's that's how we can kind of use our
Mhm.
peer-to-peer.
No, that makes sense. So would you signpost people then? So if like they came along, they were really quite bad, do you need to try and kind of go, look, we maybe can't quite help with that, but we can put you in
It's-
this direction?
We'll never turn anybody away, but we will say sometimes, look, we maybe recommend you looking at professional
Yeah.
services. We've paid quite a lot for people to go private because the waiting times isn't there, but we realise that there's no many people out there that can
Yeah.
afford to go private, especially when sometimes it's £50 to £100 a session.
Yeah.
So
you've actually paid for people to go?
if it's been somewhere where we're like, this is really needed, then
Oh, wow.
we've got funds there that we can say, look, we can cover that.
That's quite a big thing to do, isn't it?
It's giving people the best opportunity to try
Yeah.
and make it better, and I think sometimes we feel like we need to do it as well. 'Cause
Yeah.
they've trusted us to come and
Aye.
ask for support, so we need to do it.
I think if you do a wee something like that, it makes them feel that they are part of us.
Yeah.
They're just doing that wee bit extra to help them.
Aye. No, that's good.
But we even find that people just come to us and say, I like what you do. Is there anything in, say, Dundee? And we can go, well, there is. And they're like, oh, well, I never knew about that. And that's where I've kind of made a list of services all over Scotland, like us, not like us, that we can kind of push to other
Mhm.
people, because
You get loads of messages saying, oh, I wish there was something like this here.
Aye.
it's for something so basic, there's not many groups do what we do.
Yep.
There's a lot of good talking groups if you want to go to that, but and especially in terms of football, and I know why that is. It's because it's too expensive for groups to run.
Yeah. Aye. No, it makes sense. And what's your hope for it, or what would be your biggest kind of hope that can come for it all, really?
I think my biggest hope is being able to get to a stage where I can do it full time and actually put like 50 hours a week straight into it, because that's where I can make a big difference. I can give more people more of my times and stuff.
Yeah.
Because right now when you're working, like I might have an interview scheduled for say 12 o'clock, but I've only got half an hour because it's during my lunch break.
Yeah.
So if we can get it to a stage where we can look at pushing it more, then the support's only got to be better. That's the kind of thing.
Aye, it makes sense.
I think if it was to go full time and you're pushing more hours in it, there's so many more avenues you can do for people that know what to do the football.
We miss a lot of the during the day stuff, like networking events.
Yep.
Everything for our kind of reach is during the day, which means that we're not catching those people because we're not there, because we can't.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it maybe becomes a wee bit more difficult.
What how many volunteers is there?
So we've got about 10 volunteers that help on a regular basis, but every single one of them work full time.
Yep.
So
how many of them do you think is passionate enough about it that, like, if you said I can take you on full time, they would do it?
I would probably maybe look at half that. Maybe
would you, Jay? Would you go, I'll change my career and go right into that if
Put him in the spot, but
he's like, I better say aye, mate.
I know.
It might only be me by the end of it.
I know. That's something I'd probably have to look at if it was going to be a right good go at it. Then probably.
You know what I mean? It's just because it's like often with these things, it's like it's something you're quite passionate about, but you could never imagine it actually being. You could get paid to do it, and it could be your work as well. Do you know? And it's just.
I think if it was to go full time, like you're kind of dreaming, it would be. If you're going to do it, you'd have to go in full.
You need to be all in. All in.
We do have one or two people that help now that have done similar to what we do, community based in the past. So you're probably looking at more them because they're used to that.
Yep.
Whereas we've got a lot of people that will have good jobs in different industries, and it won't make financial sense for them to do it. But I would still I'd be very surprised if they still didn't say, look, I still want to be either volunteer led or help when I can. Yeah.
I think as well, if you get yourself like sort of freed up and more into it as such, then like you can probably have a better strategy and a better kind of support network for these guys that are volunteering and
it would definitely change us massively. That would be it would be the game changer, as we kind of say. And the main thing that we're looking for is to make our support as best as we possibly can, and that seems to be the only way that we probably could.
Mm-hmm. So where does people reach you now? Social media?
Social media is the big one.
Aye.
We talk about word of mouth, but when it comes to like speaking to businesses, football clubs, it's social media is the biggest one.
You've had some amazing exposure as well. You were on Sky Sports and that, eh?
That was probably the pinch me moment, to be honest. Once that wee bike came out, it was time to go. But
I was working away up north, missed it.
It's again that was through Livingston. We would never have got that if Livingston weren't so community based and pushed us to to do it. And it's stuff like that. That's a reach that we'll probably never get that again. Being on Sky Sports at that time in the day, no as many folk are ever got to see your stuff. No matter how many times we put it up on Facebook.
It's crazy.
It's a reach that we can only imagine about. So.
Aye. You could probably make it happen again though. It's just setting that sort of vision of how would we get on it again, do you know?
It's the only good thing is when people like that have came out, we've kept in contact with them. So there is certain times of the year where you find that people are more interested in what you do and want to promote it more.
Yep.
So you never know, as it gets maybe towards the end of the year, it seems to be where people want to push
and I take it that seems to be the sort of the prime time, if you like, for like mental health is like that run into Christmas and sort of over that period.
It starts probably about September and runs to Christmas.
The darkness. The dark nights.
September, you've also got Suicide Prevention Week, which I could take on about 50 folk and still no help the work that we get through that week. So, and that's why we are pushing it to companies as well, because you don't want to push everything into that wee week. Yeah, you need to space it out and
try and proactive again, like you both said.
Because everybody wants to do something Suicide Prevention Week.
Aye.
The problem is they're going to loads of groups and everybody's only got so many people, so you can't do everything.
It makes sense. Like if I relate it to like us as a roofing business, it's like when the storm happened there, like we've got all our proactive stuff, people who like get the roof fixed ahead of like a storm coming or things like that, and then we just get inundated with like all of these calls for like, I think we had 1,000 calls like when that storm hit, and like you can't really help everybody because you're like, well, we've got maintenance plans, we've got all this other stuff that like if you'd got in like 6 months ago, like you probably wouldn't be in this position. Not to say that some roofs just got literally blown off, do you know what I mean? But like there's certain ones that's just like, well, you've not maintained it for a long time, so this was kind of going to happen.
So last year, in the lead up to Suicide Prevention Week, we got offers for 70 different schools in Scotland. We could only do 5 of them because it was only, we can't make people take time off their work to go to these things. Yep. And that's why we kind of push people to do it all year, because that's where it can make the difference. Yep. We can come with 2 or 3 people and make it better, rather than me running about during one week trying to get everywhere.
What's the work with the schools?
It's just going in, either running a wee football session or speaking to them. It's nothing too, again, it's nice and basic. You don't want it to be, especially with schools, you're kind of looking at it to kind of say, look, this is what we do. In a few years' time, if they're maybe 13, 14, you can come along to something like this.
I joked at the time that the school I went to, I was like, it was easier dealing with the kids than it was dealing with some of the adults on a Monday night, but
it was, I think the first school I ever done, I don't think I've been as tired in my life after it.
They ask a lot of questions.
The school we went to, the 5th and 6th years, fine. First years, just mayhem, just why I run about football, I'm bored about.
But that's good, because that's
what we're doing.
On a Monday night, that's what you're looking for, folk. Run about, let off some steam, and that's exactly what they're doing. Aye. But it's more the teachers that are thankful for you when you go into the schools, because you're tiring them out and making it a wee bit easier for them. So,
crashing them a wee bit. No, it's interesting. It's it must be quite hard just getting that balance between, we're working full time and all that as well. So this will be your 5th year then? No,
this is us coming into we're halfway through our 5th.
Aye. That's some gone like.
It's been difficult. It's got easier. For a while, I think for the first 2 years, I tried to push as much as I possibly could. Yep. You can't do it, especially during if you're out every night during the week and then maybe the Zoom call and something, and it's some of the Zoom calls can be quite deep and serious. And there's been a few times where I've sat there and just after the call's finished and just sat with my head in my hands for half an hour saying, this is too much. But you do get better at kind of making your time. Like I don't go to every session now, which makes a massive difference to me.
Because you need to mind your mental health as well.
I'm not saying it's stressful, but I had a full head of hair 5 years ago. So
you what?
I had a full head of hair 5 years ago. So I'm not saying it's stressful, but
you can. It's like everything. It's just like work. You can have a really good week and you can have a really bad week. I'm not going to tell you how many times I've put in at the chat saying we're chucking this next week. It's been too much, but
it's a slog.
Once you kind of get yourself back to normal and you look and you're saying, right.
And seeing the Zoom calls then, is that like, will there be quite like sort of deep, dark kind of stuff that might come up? Somebody's kind of just sharing all and...
It can be.
The Zoom calls can be, we'll call it Zoom because it's been on Zoom.
I know it's Teams, but...
And it's, the Zoom calls can go from one extreme to another. So during COVID, obviously we had more and it can go from hours of like really, really deep conversations where you are emotionally drained after it to, especially during COVID folk doing handstands and that one.
That was you, nobody else.
And that's what you want. You want it all comes out of the community again. You want people to be themselves.
See, if I was to ask you, like, have you got like a core values or that? Have you done like a core values exercise? Like, what would be the core values of Kick Mental Health? Like the main sort of sticking points if I was...
The main kind of things we're looking for is to build people's confidence, make sure that they realise there's support there for them, and just to have that sense of community. But again, the core values come down to we just want people to have somewhere that they can trust, and that's what we try to be.
Aye, that makes sense. Definitely.
And you said earlier on, it's just to give somebody a place to belong.
Aye,
even if it is just for 1 hour a week, they belong to something for that 1 hour.
See, even like I've not played five-a-sides for ages, but like when you used to play five-a-sides, like because it's quite intense as well, like you can't really think about much else. Like especially if you're a wee bit unfit, because like all you can think about is the stitch. You're not thinking about the problem you had when you started the game, or before you came in. You know, I'd often usually be so much happens on my phone on a day-to-day basis just because I'm like I lead so many people and I'm involved in so many different things that it's like multiple businesses, like I coach a football team, like on different committees and all this different stuff. So like the amount that can come through your phone in one day, you're just like, even just to set that aside for an hour and it's like you can't answer your phone when you're playing football.
I think that's where five-a-side, 7-a-side is quite chaotic as well, and that's probably why people come, because it does take your mind off it for a good hour, because there's nothing else you can think about, especially if you're trying to run about chase younger ones.
I think even for us, we can go to some sessions and you can feel, oh, I'm done in. And then that next hour's just, you might not be first for going because you're really done in for work, and then that next hour just goes by.
It just shoots the endorphins into you and just kind of goes, oh, this is... And it reminds you why you're doing it all as well. You probably see the people enjoying it and smile on their face, having a laugh, and then... You can
usually tell when it's a good session. You can kind of sit back. I think that's the best thing about what I do, is I can sit back and see the session as a full, and you can see people that have came along and maybe never spoke for the first 3 or 4 weeks, and you can see them running about, meeting new people, having a laugh, and you can see just how much they've developed as a person.
There's even been times in the group chats, how many times we group chats, and just one of the guys that had been there the night, it's like, how good was that the night? That was a brilliant session.
That's a great feeling.
That's when you know you're doing something.
Aye.
That's probably the most beneficial for me, is to see how much we've made a difference.
Aye. No, that's amazing. I think, it just makes so much sense. The whole community aspect, the way that it's kind of laid back, but if they need that wee bit more, then it's actually there as well. And it's like anything, you need to build trust, so it's like...
Trust is massive.
You can't just come along one session and be like, right, I need to tell you everything. Like, nobody's going to really do that, and you wouldn't expect that of anybody, but if they come along and they build that bit of community, and then they actually start to feel safe.
Trust was probably when I first started, that was the hardest bit. That put a lot of expectation on me, because you go out and you go, God, all these people are kind of looking at me to give them support, and that's probably what I struggled with the most when we first started, was God, that's a lot of pressure.
Mhm.
And it comes to the sessions you need. Like, it's a big pressure to keep them running every single week, because if I'm calling off a session a Tuesday, and to be honest, I've let the guys down. So
Aye.
that's the way I look at
It
it.
would crush you a wee bit.
Yeah.
So it's 7 days a week?
So it's
No,
we run-
6
we run-
sessions.
We run sessions Monday to Friday.
Aye, so
and then we've got 6 sessions. in
6
like
or the
5 days.
5. And has that been like kind of right through that full time, or
It's
give or
been-
take?
We've been 6.
Try to think of the enormity of the sessions you've put on.
A bit, and even then, obviously coming up, there's the amateur team's going to be starting,
Yeah.
which is then you could add technically on a
Oh, so
Sunday.
he's doing an amateur team as well?
We've got the amateur team, so if you add that, you're probably talking a training session and
Yeah.
a game on a Sunday.
A lot of guys are obviously coming, and then they were wanting more
Aye, what's the
competitive-based-
progression to this?
competitive-based football. So I think
aye.
that's how
Last
amateur teams.
last year we done 325 sessions in the year, so you're getting close to a day, a session every day,
Mhm.
and that's
That's
again,
incredible.
I want to try and beat that this year. So.
Aye, no, definitely. I'm sure he will. What's happening with the amateur team then? He's into a league and all of that, and
So
then
it's got to be something a bit different. So with being a football based group, there's always got to be people that want to come and have a wee bit of a competitive side,
Mhm.
and that's where we can probably do it. So we can have a team on a Sunday. It will be competitive. There will be players there that want to win,
Mhm.
but that's more an awareness thing for us. So if we've got a team in a league called Kick Mental Health, that's been seen by every team in that league,
Mhm.
and people can then ask questions, and that allows us to reach new people, basically. That's
so
it.
I think
good-
you
good idea.
touched on it with the guys that are obviously been interested to play. With the Sunday amateurs, they still need to remember that what we're about while they're playing it.
Aye, it's not just a case of like coming along here and.
We've
'Cause
got-
the thing you probably got as a worry is like, because football can be quite damaging for a lot of people
Yeah.
in the sense that it only can take somebody to say, oh, you've had a howler the day, like what you're playing at, and some people take that on like way too much.
our main aim for the amateur team is to pick up boys that have been maybe let go by under 21 teams.
Yeah.
So I think most of the games we play, the majority of our guys are under 23. So you're still got that kind of development bit where you're wanting to push people back into football.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to that proactive thing. Again, a lot of boys might get let go for here, there, and everywhere, and just chuck it,
Mhm.
and then that could have a terrible
Aye.
effect to them. Eh?
Because football's just a massive routine, really.
That's
When
it.
people lose the routine, then it's like you hear it just so many times. You know, he was a great player, but then like,
They put their energy into something that's not going to be any good to them.
aye, exactly.
And there is a massive problem with young guys being let go by football clubs, whether it be at the top level or even maybe higher up grassroots levels. People lose interest, whereas we're trying to again push them back into it, because I've seen so many good football players that just have never been given the
Yeah.
opportunity. If they've maybe been let go once, and they'll go, oh well, I'll chuck it.
It damages their confidence that much.
And sometimes people go, aye, you're better to, maybe their pal group are like, maybe you're better just leaving it. Whereas we're saying, go again, kind of thing. So
And what is there anything we've not covered that you want to cover?
I wouldn't say so. We've got a couple of new sessions and activities coming up. So we've got a new activity in 2 new areas. So we've got our run club starting up probably as the better weather gets into it. That's something we've been looking to do for a while, but I'm not very good at running, so I've always been looking for somebody to kind of take it for me. So we've managed to find somebody for that. So that will start up probably in the next few months, and then we've got sessions in Edinburgh and Falkirk starting before the summer.
So what's your footprint now then? So you've got Blackburn, Livingston, Lanark. Was it Carluke? No,
Carluke, and then we'll have Falkirk.
Edinburgh, Falkirk,
Stonyburn Tuesday.
Stonyburn as well.
So we're kind of. I don't want to push us out too quickly, so we're kind of basically get a wee circle and then slowly making it a wee bit bigger.
The Falkirk was kind of forced.
Full.
Because we've got some amount of guys that
they're coming for there.
Falkirk,
That's good though, eh?
And some of these people from Falkirk have been coming for like 2 years, so you kind of feel like I need to try and put a session on there just so they can do it.
Yeah.
It comes to the fact is I could put on loads of sessions, but when we move into Falkirk, move into Edinburgh, I want them to be as good as the ones that we've been running for 4 or 5 years.
Aye, no, definitely.
I think it's just a standard kind of thing we've set that you won't. I mean,
Aye.
I think it needs to be, but you don't want to push yourself as a night going out to play fives. You want it to be a place where people can say, I'm going there because I need it, and that's.
I think the routine's massive. Like my routine is just like, see if I need to go to the gym in the morning because if no, it bothers me all day, and then all I can think about is like no getting there at night, and it's just like, for other people it might just be like that football training that night or that session that night and then that game at the week. Like, they just know like that's the stuff I do this week.
I wouldn't be surprised if most people that come don't even realise that they're doing it.
Aye, they're in that routine. Aye.
We've got some people that come on a Monday that have been coming to Mondays since the first session started.
That's brilliant.
So that's maybe 4.5 years.
Wow. That's insane.
That's definitely ingrained in their routine anyway.
There's some people that don't miss a session all week, and you're lucky the course of a year they miss 2.
That's brilliant.
And that's every day that they're on.
And are these people like, are they there like, they're obviously there for themselves, but they must be there for other people as well, eh? They must be kind of thinking, I want to make a difference here.
I said this a while back to them, and I was like, see, even if you're feeling like I'm feeling fine, I don't think I need to go. Come along, because you being fine can make everybody else's. You can come as a more positive person.
Aye, no, definitely.
You can help the people that are maybe struggling, because you don't want a session's never got to be great if every single person's really, really struggling. You need those people that are maybe there saying, I can make a difference tonight.
I think you might find you might have people that come along to us who spend a big part of their time maybe looking after other people in their family or their networks, and then this is their wee hour of just
their own kind of freedom as such. Nah, it's good. So just a final kind of recap then. How can people get in touch with you?
So we're Kick Mental Health and all socials.
All socials. What can businesses and different organisations do to help you?
We've always got sponsorship packages and stuff. You can sponsor different sessions in different areas if it's maybe more local to you. We've got different packages, so it's affordable to all different businesses, and it's you're promoting yourself, but you're also helping make a massive difference. Like we say, on a Monday there can be 67 people there, so you're helping 67 people.
That's massive. And is there anything else anybody could do to help you other than a stadium?
Just share it.
Just share it and just get the word out there. And if you come along to a session, let somebody else know.
It's word of mouth will always be be really important to us.
Well, that's been class, guys. Thanks for coming on and sharing so much about it. All right.
No problem.
Thank you. All the best with it going forward.